Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here talking to you about this particular event in the sky. So we firstly have the solstice, the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere and the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. And then of course we have the epic full moon that is taking place on the cusp between Sag and Capricorn on the 21st of June. So this is really important. So why? Firstly, to match a moon to a solstice event is a magnificent change. It is very strong, it is very thorough, it is very deep. We also have this particular moon crossing the MC, so it's going to be about power, it's going to be about rights, it's about potential, it's about who you've come to be in the world and also where you're going to go now. So it's about the point of it all. It's about life choices and life hopes, and it's also sometimes about certain fears that you might have to face in order to dilute them and get to a nice, vibrant and solid level. For the northern hemisphere especially, this is a special time. So if you have also genetics that have come from the northern hemisphere but you live in a southern hemisphere, this is still going to affect you. So basically the solstice is the most important, the most rich, the most powerful and the most beautiful time to understand where you've come from, where you're going and what is going to take you to get where you are going to go. So it's very much about planning. It's also about escaping the boring, primitive, previous view of life and the previous version of yourself, as this moon is going to make us feel very solid and very good and very significant about who we are and what we're trying to do in our lives. So the main concept that I'm feeling about this particular time is that we've got to really give it our best shot sometimes, and we have to make it as pure as possible, as good as possible, as green and clean as possible, and sometimes also as humble as possible to reach the next result. We have to go to the next frontier, and sometimes we have to go very fast. So this is all about money for some people, and for some other people it's just about truth, and for certain other people it's about faith and God, and for certain other people just about other significances that they feel are pure and centered. So that centering on that which is true and total, and on those people or that specific person, that means the world to you is going to become like a once in a lifetime feeling. So in certain cases, yeah, there is going to be a lot of untruth and misguidance and, oh God, help me, I don't know which way I'm going, I don't know where I belong, I don't know where I'm meant to be. And that's going to really show up for those of us that don't really have it in us yet to really define who we are. What for is this important? So we are in a dragon year. It's not just a dragon year, it's a wooden dragon year. So it's very, very important to make yourself whole. It's a very masterful time. It's a very pushy and powerful time. It's not just about being you, just, you know, however, whatever. It's not a whatever type of time. It's a very deep, primordial and real type of time. It has a lot of realness about it. It has a lot of time to share. It actually has all of that which you've ever needed within itself. Like the year is packed with health, the time is packed with potential, just whether or not you like it or not the way it is, and whether or not you can really fully have the faith and the courage to make yourself like get up in the morning and express yourself or express your full potential. So it's kind of karmic for a lot of people. So let's go there first. We also do have Venus Mercury next to the Sun. So the Sun is in a stellium, and it is very, very lucky for us to go just towards the brilliant, most obvious and significant plans. If you don't have any big plans, or if you haven't made any real statements in your life, if you have done like nothing, you kind of don't care, just whatever everybody else is doing is okay, there's going to become really nonsense. It could be also potentially very abusive for you to stay in certain situations that are not sounding like anything, that are not making you grow, or that are not developing you or enveloping you at least in some sense of love, kindness and connection. So we do definitely have to grieve if we have a lot of backlog. Certain people have to understand and become really fulfilled in their doubts. Some people just really want to say no. Some people just really want to, you know, experience that scare or that fear of like what is next. You know, certain people will need to experience and express those feelings as the full moon is going to really bring that all to a culminating edge or an ending. But then we really have to grow up and we have to go forward. Nobody's going to carry those bags for us. If you have prepared a lifetime, I'm sorry if this sounds crude, if you have a body and this body you have to feed and dress and you've got to use it and enjoy it and live within itself, you need to become very wholesome and robust and strong and do the right thing. So every single day you might get different messages, different letters. Certain people also with this Jupiter well and truly in Gemini are going to get notifications, or they're going to get some kind of social media stimulation that will try to push them further, try to push them forward. Even some serendipitous, random, you know, synchronized social event or social media post might spike you up and get you those feelings that you need. If you don't have any friends or family, I'm really sorry about that. If you don't have anybody that could potentially carry you or help you or give you those beautiful vibrations as this part of the chart, the IC, you know, as we're going through the sun from Gemini to Cancer, is a very sensitive part for people that don't necessarily feel like they have any kind of reliable people in their life. If you don't necessarily feel like you're doing so good socially or family wise, it is very important to have some kind of position in life that will get you through. So for certain people, it is about being employed. It is about hospitals. It's about churches. It's about government facilities. And it is also, sorry about the noise outside, sometimes about people that are generally open and helpful. They're sometimes like cars basically driving past my building, never mind. So there are sometimes certain ways that you can extend your luck and you can go forward to the next level by basically surrounding yourself with at least somebody. So this could be a government firm or organization, could be a church or community center. It could be any kind of people that may have at least something to give you. For certain people, it is still going back to media, social media, television, anything, just to get some kind of feedback or some kind of show. And that's also understood. So for those of us that are very tired and also are very lonely, it's going to be a difficult time. But nonetheless, even if you're just supported by social media and such, you're still going to get through. So it's about getting through these tight corners. It's about understanding that you don't want to also be a person sometimes supporting another person without need. For certain people, there's going to be a lot of rebellion. For example, I don't want to be a mother or a father to that person. I don't want to carry that person on my back. Also, have a look. This could be very excruciating for some people. For those of us that have been dubbed into some kind of a caring role, or like a big brother or big sister role, where we had to support, oversee, you know, teach or help other people, this could actually also lead to a needed rebellious edge, you know. So there could be a time of revolution during this time, and a need to basically say no and keep on saying it. So even if you really like the person, sometimes if they haven't been truthful with you, or they have not been 50-50 with you, sometimes you'll get to say those things and feel those feelings. So I feel that for the time being, Venus is bringing out a lot of pride, hope and care in the future. She's bringing out a lot of joy in the sun, and Mercury is escalating things, you know. So he's elevating the energy, he's speeding things up, he's making them more joyful and bouncy. So there should be a very, very nice, simple and joint union between aspects of life. So between all of these pieces and all of these little hopes and dreamings and these things and these little ideas that you could have gathered in Gemini, there is probably going to be one big wholesome conclusion. So generally, as we go into Cancer, things become whole and they start to be tightened up into one big body. So it's not just about having bits of information, it's not about just having bits and pieces and making different little things possible. It's just about knowing that you really want something whole. Cancer is about wholeness. It is also about an identity for some people, and it's about having to do the right thing at the right time. So these things might come through for a lot of different people and people around you as well. And you might get really weird or icky about how different people have started to really say, I am, or I'm comfortable with this, or I'm comfortable with that. So comfort levels and situationalities and what people do and do not allow themselves to be a part of, and what also other people do and do not allow people, you know, to do in their lives, or aspects to do in their lives. So there is not necessarily a feeling of control, but there could be a bout of irrelevance. And suddenly you understand, whoa, I've been carrying this person on my back for like several years. I can't be bothered anymore. Or you could be like, wow, I have so many friends and family that simply count on me, or they want me to do many things. So the relevance of these things, before it was like a Christian thing, or was a religious thing, or was a mechanical thing that you used to do and you never used to question it. Now you might not want to do it. So there are certain people that may not necessarily want to be a part of certain personalities. They don't want to take part in certain situations. And it's going to start to get very wholesome, very real, very legitimate, and very true and proud as to who you are and what you actually want. So that's really basic. It's very ABC. The moon, as I said earlier, is going through the MC. So the MC is like, what are you really proud of? What are you really doing here? What do you want to do further on down the track? So it's about meanings. And sometimes, come what may, it is a natural desire. It is a natural design of life to suddenly not feel like most things in life are important, and concentrating on that one or two things that actually mean something to you. So it could be just your family and your job, or it could be your career, or it could be your health. So something that you really, really want to improve and aspire to. It's more also about dreams and aspirations. It's about ideals and ideologies. It's about meaningful things. It's about quantums. It's about people getting it and finally fulfilling themselves and fulfilling their hearts and what they think should have mattered this whole time. So it's about mattering. It's also about mattering to other people. It's about feelings, and about true like hunter and gatherer instinct to really get it together now. So for certain people, they kind of get it. It's like, if I don't get an upgrade on my business, ciao bambino. If I don't become more eloquent and more direct in my ideologies, I may not make it to the place where I want to be. And suddenly all of these friends trickle away. All of these ideas are just no longer an issue. And also a lot of the mind that previously went into many little patterns and had many little sparkly bits and pieces, all of these collections, all of this stuff, inevitably eventually becomes an unnecessary feeling. It becomes unnecessary. It feels very large and very grown, this energy, and it doesn't really want to participate in anything or anybody that may not take you to that new vibration. So also to talk a little bit about the solstice, let's talk about the pieces of the year. So if we start the year in March, as it was done before the 1700s anyway, we see that the first three signs, which is Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, have been passed. So these are the primary colors. These are like red, I don't know, yellow and blue. Okay, if you can imagine. These are primary colors. If you're a painter, you would know you can make almost any color using just these primary colors. Okay, so these are the main concepts. Between March the 21st and now, you would have gathered enough. You may have gotten really good keys for your future. You may have recognized yourself. You may have understood where you are going wrong and where you cannot be anymore, you cannot stand being, or where you really wanted to be this whole time. And all of these blinders are off. All of these false feelings, false friendships, false ideologies are going to leave you now. So not maybe for every single person, for many people it's going to be different. It's just whether or not you really want to support that which you've had kind of going with you automatically, or just sort of fitting in with you by mistake. It's hard also to be that person in the group or situation. If you know that you kind of, not necessarily an imposter, but you kind of just like eavesdropping on a situation without actually having it at your core. So this whole dragon year is about core events, core people, core personality traits. It's about being at your fullest. It's about full potential. It's about alpha logic. It's about strengthening. And it's also about territorialism to a degree, knowing how you're going to do it later, where you're going to go, where you're going to be. So it's very, very deep, and it's very, very primordial. And it can also cause a lot of suffering for the people that have always designed their life in such a way where they are kind of unsure whether they do or do not fit, and they're not sure how other people will treat them. So they basically got taught since a very early age as to how to tiptoe around others and not to cause a fuss. I've done a lot of videos and audios mainly, in the Patreon channel. Have a look at the link below. And it talks a lot about what you can do to weed out those cultures and strategies and those different ways that you exchange with people and like how you feel. So for a person that feels very lowly and has no self-esteem by now, for a person that doesn't know what's good for them, and also for people that are very low vibrational, they're just waiting for somebody else to kind of do something, there's going to become a very obvious no sometimes. Also, being fired or made redundant, or not being seen as a friend, not being seen as a true person in the situation, is maybe because you don't have enough optimism or vibration and your heart doesn't want to be there. So sometimes people have no other choice but to cut you out of a situation that's very, very hard. So if you don't need to be there, you have to also be noticed, so there's no hard feelings. So breakups and things like that, they don't have to be negative or nasty. It's like, yeah, I get it, I'm not really there, or I don't have my heart there 100%. With all the different things that have been happening in the last few months, in the last 3 months specifically, there should be a wholesome overall result. So by the first 3 signs of the year, they should be like since March. So that means Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. So since the 21st of March, we should have a really nice feeling, like the whole body, the whole heart should be feeling what you've been a part of and what has traveled into your life or made itself possible in your timeline. So it's just about feeling strong and not messy anymore. And then the heart makes the choices. A lot of the goodness and a lot of the inertia is just from this pineal gland to heart connection, and really realizing and recognizing where the differences are. You know, so like I know what feels good to me and I know what kind of didn't ever feel good to me. So it's about natural built-in intuition. It's also about a natural inbuilt process in which you just basically get it and you don't need anybody else explaining it to you anymore. So it's not about being like, hey mom, like what's up, or like dad, can you give me some money, or like, hey guys, you know, what's going on here. It's about having a really strong personality. And also by this time, by the solstice, as we would have gone through the first quarter of the year, you have it. So in these first signs, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini is the whole world. It's all that you really wanted. It is just broken up into very basic structures. It is very, very basic. It's very, very basic. It's like primary colors, 1, 2, 3. It's just a little bit hard for certain people to see the good in it because it can be a little bit rough with you. And sometimes that roughness has a certain type of story to tell, or certain type of sort of history, or it has a certain type of idea as to where you're meant to be and how you're meant to behave from here on. So it's not very much there for some of you guys, and I understand if you have been waiting for something to happen caringly, if you are waiting for something meaningful, if you really put yourself in such a place where you will not tolerate certain things and only tolerate others. So there's need for meanings, and there's need for written protocol, or for some kind of like paperwork, or you are kind of obsessed with, like, say, money, time, anything numerical. So if you don't have a physical, biological, vibrant strategy, you might be really possessed with an idea that comes from a logical point of view. So it's all mind. It's like, well, you didn't tell me this, but this doesn't say this on the piece of paper, you know, like where is the fine print? I don't see any fine print, you know. So for those people that are very disabled and they don't have enough inertia, or they don't have enough meanings, or they don't feel that juiciness and that force of such an alpha year, there has to be time apart. If you want, wait like till the dust settles and just care for yourself. If there is just no way of putting the dots together, if there are no real meanings and real yes or no feelings within that which you're doing, you may just need to have a home or a place to stay, or just a safe space to be. So if you really right now like really love itself, if you're looking for a partnership, no matter what, if it is the apple of your eye, if you're looking for somebody to cuddle you and hold you, rest assured it may not necessarily be found. If you're looking for another person to help you, also if you suddenly have a very big sensual drive and you need somebody else to invest in you or be part of your world, chances are you're not entirely whole by yourself. And that's going to become very mega promising for certain people to walk and search for love, and to suddenly have a bout of fear if I don't find my friends or my tribe or my team or that person, if I cannot join to a family tree, if I don't get employment, if I don't get somebody wanting me or somebody caring for me, I'm not going to make it. This is an important sign of the times. If you feel, I'm sorry, this is hard. If you feel that you don't make enough, if you don't do enough, if you cannot hope to do it by yourself and you have to constantly massage other people, or you have to be pretty and kind and fit in and have a role, or you're role playing and you're consciously role playing, this might become an integral part of your life. So there are sometimes also people that make themselves possible, and there's like a lot of people like this, by playing roles and by meaning things with people and by making sure that everybody's in cahoots and by doing things that look good on paper or that look good to other people. If you're doing that, or if you've done that in the past and you're coming back to finding acceptance and appreciation from other people as a way to get through, as a way to build a life, as a way to get clients, as a space in which you are growing, and maybe you are very, very dependent on a partner, or you're dependent on the dating scene, or you're dependent on your friends to treat you right, you will need to wait. But just think about it, try to process this. If you are in a codependent relationship with anything or anybody, it is going to eventually repeat. You could get to your 50s, 60s, and 70s and still have these patterns. So the one thing that is really obvious to me is that most of us have already done it. Most of us have already got all the tools. It's just about knowing how to use them. A wooden element of the dragon is about using tools and understanding how life works, how nature works. It's about being ingenious. And it's also being about it, about that which you really need, which you enjoy, and which will give you success. So not for all people, but for many people, there are still tools in a toolkit that we haven't exposed to ourselves or explored yet. But in certain cases, that's going to become almost like obvious later on, like by October. It's going to be very obvious what you're doing, why, how, and with whom. Is going to be very, very obvious as to what your life is becoming and how you're playing this game of life, or how you are living, how you're coping with reality, how you're coping with daily stress, and how you are raising above the circumstances. And in certain cases, there are already people in place. There are already formations, natural formations, that are going to help you along. But if you have done always the same thing, if you've always made it kind of impossible to be yourself, and you've tried it so many times, and you tried so hard to be kind of a fitting in character, this erases so much of your structure. This can erase a whole body of energy from your life. And also people that feed upon the energy of other people. So they depend so much on their energy and on the genetic makeup of the people around them. They start to become users, and they also start to switch faces and become different characters for different people in order to have a place in the world. If you've ever been that, please don't. You know, it's hard. It's a harsh life to be dependent or codependent. And also, as I said earlier, dragon has a very amazing vibration for taking a photo, and that photo stays forever. So for example, if you've had a lot of friends that have been in your life, and you've had them kind of come into certain times of your life where they have had a certain very strong experience with you, and then those experiences may pave your path for future people and sometimes future generations. You've got to see this. We take almost like screen captures of everybody in the game. We remember them. What you're wearing on the day matters. How you're talking to people matters. What you find hope in matters. Even sometimes you're sitting alone and you know you got one of those very powerful decision-making moments. Like it's an alpha moment. Like you really see your character. It's for real. And most of these very special moments and quantic connections with people eventually get to pave your path, sometimes for the rest of your life and beyond your life. So this is very, very powerful. You know, so we had, for example, in 2022, a slapdash year. So 2022 was the tiger year, a water tiger year. And whatever you wanted, you could have done, and it didn't actually matter. You could have roughed and tumbled and basically fallen, but with a laugh and a good attitude, you would have taken yourself out of there, or you would have just, made friends with whoever, even after you had a fight with them. This is the type of year now, 2024, where there's no nonsense. So you can't be just like having a day off every day. You can't afford to be a part of a certain thing if you don't really put your heart in it. If you're not present, if you're not aware, if you're not awake, if your body's not vibrating while you're doing something, this means that this is like a certain type of like almost like a murmuring sort of like frequency that is not going to go anywhere after a while. If people keep on running into you and you're just like terrible and stressed out and you just want to get some sleep, or you don't care about them, and you're constantly like rejecting messages, you don't really care, or you never check your phone, or you don't care what's going on in the world, if you've become also very undoubtedly yours, that's also an alpha trait. If you become very much like solo and you just want to do it by yourself, also be careful with that, because any kind of tactic, for example, over extreme integration with people not for the right cause and effect, extreme solitude because you don't want anybody offending you, or any kind of grievance that you're carrying with you and have been carrying all your life, sometimes we cannot get rid of these vibrations. They will follow us through. So what to do if you're noticing that you've got some doubts, or you've got some uncomfortable energies that are working with you during this time, and you want to put your life together for the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is what the solstice is, and the bigger picture is what this moon suggests. Get wholesome, be honest, check your strategies, check your software, check if you're doing the right thing at the right time, check your schedule, grow up. For some people it is about adulting, it is about investment, and it is about getting the best out of your life, and also having those normal, wholesome, risk-free experiences in the environment. So it's not just about like damage. It's not about fear. It's about knowing where you belong, knowing what your skill set is, and also knowing what your forever after is, after all of this is done, recognizing what is the hallmark of success for you, and what is the legacy that you are keeping back there, or that you would like to keep in the back of your mind maybe for now. Don't worry if it's come to that very, very fast. I feel some people are going to have certain really high frequency awakening as to what am I actually becoming, who am I becoming, what am I carrying to the world, what are the words that I'm speaking, and what is the type of, like, say, body that I'm inhabiting, or what is the type of mind that I'm sharing. We have to be very, very careful not to overwhelm ourselves, but it doesn't really get much more real than this type of year. And this is the real plan, the real deal, and the real focus and ambition that is coming through at this time. Just whether or not you are open or empty enough to see it, whether or not you are brave and you have it, like you have it in your guts, you have it in your smile, you have it in your body to face things, whether or not you can be all about it now, and whether or not you can integrate. Because Cancer is about integration. Integrate all of those different hopes and dreams, all of those parts of your body that are not working the way that you have imagined, all of those difficult things to say, all of those difficult things to take care of in your life at the moment, and whether or not you can really make it. So making it through, making it through, no matter what, structuring your day the way that you want it to structure, coming up on top, coming up roses, and then eventually doing what is good for you, and also what is great for the greater community and the people that are sharing this space of hope with you, as within so without. Everything's connected. And done some audio work as well about Gaia and the Galactic Mother and things, and about how everybody's just a part of this whole thing. It's not just about you, the individual. It's not just about you and your family tree, or you and your friend. It's actually about the whole spectrum of information working within itself for itself, and also about it being just another vision of God, is just another vision of the divine, and then using that logic, or using that practice of understanding that everything is interconnected as a tool, just as a way forward, because sometimes we forget and we feel very dry, very stark, or very kind of put on. But you see, like, at the end of the day, nothing really matters. Everything is see-through and everything is balanced as it is. And who you are now today is probably as real and as genuine as it gets. Maybe some parts of you at least are completely full and honest, and they're filled out somehow, and all of those questions that didn't make sense have ceased to be. And maybe all of those people that have really nurtured you and needed you there have become an obvious overall vibration, like a buzz. And now we have to be very honest, and we have to become very true and take that next avatar step, as we don't really have any choice but to embody and to really fulfill, you know. That next avatar step is just to do the right thing and to be on the right course, and also to heal others and help the world thrive. So thank you very much. YouTube and Patreon, if you like. Check out my website. I will be actually putting a new website up in just a few days or weeks. And yes, there's plenty of stuff on Patreon. I have so much stuff that I share intensely. So if you like, check it out. And yes, of course, everybody's welcome to get a session with me. Thank you very much. Enjoy. And I'll see you next time. Bye.